But before we get started, folks, we have an iTunes 5-star rating and review from Tegan_90. Great podcast, highly recommend. This podcast is great. I love listening to people's amazing and scary experiences. The host, I feel, still has a little improvements to do, but the show is still young and obviously time and experience will certainly develop this amazing show to be even better. Thanks for the rating and review, Tegan, and I most certainly agree. But so long as everyone is enjoying listening to people's amazing encounters, I'm happy. Thanks again, Tegan. G'day, folks, and welcome to another episode of Encounters Down Under. Dee joins the show to tell us about her experiences involving both her and her daughter being abducted, which continue to escalate. But what makes this episode even more interesting is that there could be a possible relation between Dee and our first guest Gail's experiences. So please welcome to the show, Dee. Welcome to the show there, Dee. Have you got you?
Hello. Hi. Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'll tell you my story soon, but basically what happened was I'm sorry to say, I've only actually listened to that one podcast.
Oh, it's unfortunate.
I think
you missed out.
when so much is going on, I think it's at the moment when you've got so much going on and you're trying to sort of get through the inexplainable shock. It's a reality shift as you're going through these experiences. There's only so much you can actually mentally handle.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it was that one podcast there with Gail that really just stood out for me. And I thought, oh, I'll listen to this. And, as I'm listening to her podcast, there were just moments where I'm pretty much shouting out, yes, me too. Yes, that's me. Oh, my goodness. And then I had this huge urge. I had to get in touch. And
I'm glad you did.
I was trying through your Facebook page, the Messenger, and every time I'm writing a message, Messenger crashed. And I was getting these bizarre messages which just wouldn't let me get through. And then it was like, right, I need to get onto your email. So got onto your email and I sent an email. I even did a little sketch of the alien being that I saw to sort of just get through to say, I really need to get through and I really needed to talk to Gail. And yes, we did catch up on the weekend and it was just fantastic. We couldn't stop talking. And it was also a catalyst for me to come onto this show and to talk to you and to anyone who's listening and who's going through all this as well, because through my sort of looking at things now, and I've been in touch with Mary Rodwell, who some of you may know as well.
Yeah.
She's here in Australia, in Queensland. Yeah, she's a UFO expert. She's written books. She's done lots of lectures and things, and in sort of desperation, when you're in the shock of it all, I just contacted her. I was trying to get through to her too, just to say, oh my God, what is this? What's going on? And she said, right now, at this point in time, it's just exploded. She's getting nearly over 100 people every day contacting her.
Oh, wow.
It's huge. It's happening. There's lots going on. There's lots of people experiencing or realizing they're experiencing. And so one of my reasons to do this podcast as well is to just say to people, first up, you're not alone. Also, I'll explain as well, I've been seeing a traditional counsellor and she even said to me, you're not crazy. The situation around you is crazy, but you're not crazy. And I think that's an important message as well that I'm really wanting to get across, in the sense that I think we all know ourselves very well. We all know our own mental health very well. And we do know what is real and what's not real. And then there is that shock and fear of when you are realizing what is going on and that this is legit, this is really actually happening. You're scared, and then you're also scared about who to turn to talk to and who to speak about this with.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Anyway, I'll start from the beginning.
Yep. First of all, I just want to remind people that the people who are listening, obviously, if you do have a question there, put it in the comments, and I will relay it to Dee. So, by all means, comment away any questions that you might have. So, yeah, I'll give it to you there, Dee, and by all means, Take over.
Thanks. Excellent. So yes, I think one thing that I really want to get across as well is that I'm very normal. I live here in Brisbane, in Queensland. I have 2 young children, and one of my young children, my daughter, is an experiencer as well. But also, it sort of stems from my childhood. I grew up in Adelaide in South Australia, and I remember even as a child, I've just got memories of just knowing there was something around them. And, when you're lying in bed at night, sometimes you're thinking, is it just my imagination as a child? But I just knew there was always something out there running past the window or something. And I also have a memory of a very clear fear memory, a fear that was so strong it just paralyzes me, up the back, up the neck. You just felt paralyzed. Very conventional family. We went to church. My dad then sort of didn't like church anymore, and he started to sort of explore New Age a little bit. And so I always sort of had this sort of growing up that, it's not one life, there's life after death. And then, of course, there are sort of other galaxies and other, there have to be other beings out there. So that was the belief. But I don't feel that really was linked to my sort of thoughts of this presence and that fear of memory. But apart from that, everything was really quite normal. It was only as I got older and, in my 30s when we were trying for children with my husband at that time. And I remember, when you're really trying for children, you're following cycles, you're ticking calendars, you're doing everything you can, and I was pregnant, and a test came up, and it's very hard to not see that there's 2 very clear red lines on the test, and we were getting close towards the time when you start booking in for scans and things. I was going to my doctor. The doctor also there was saying, "Yep, you're pregnant. Fantastic. Let's start getting you ready for scans." I was actually over in London at this time as well, so it was a different health system there. And then just one day I found, my period's coming. This is a bit strange. I thought, this isn't a miscarriage. This is just weird. And I went to my doctor, and she said, "Oh, no, this is a bit weird. I have to sort of refer you to the hospital, to their miscarriage unit." Got there, did the scans, and they were saying, "There's nothing there. It's just, there's no evidence. It's gone." And the only way they could explain it to me at that stage was, your body absorbed the pregnancy. And I even remember then just thinking, that just doesn't add up. There's just something strange there. That's not quite right. But again, you're sort of upset, you had plans, family was told and whatnot. So the easiest way to explain it was like, I had a miscarriage, and then we just moved on. And then going on throughout the years as we're trying for children, I had all the symptoms. I started to hold off on doing the tests because I thought, I'm pregnant, but I'm just going to wait. And then I just wasn't pregnant. And it was just, there was things there that I always thought, this is just a bit weird. But I let it go. And thankfully, after many years of trying, naturally we have 2 children. So presently I have a daughter now who's 9 and a son who's 6. And so that was really it, and that's about really it that was going on. There was always, a bit of sort of strange bruises on my thighs or on my arms, and with my husband, he would always say, "Oh, where did you get that bruise from?" Well, that's a bit strange. And I'd be like, I don't know, it's just a bruise. I think I even remember once asking a doctor about it, because your first thing is, you've got strange bruises. You think, oh my gosh, leukemia or something. And I remember the doctor going, no, you're fine. You bruise easily. You just got bruises. Okay. And again, you just file it away as in, that's strange, but it's still explainable. You just filed it away. But I think where this really started to take a head for me was really very recently. It was this year, and it started probably late May even this year, where my children were doing football practice at an oval nearby, and I took that time to do some exercise on the oval next to them as they're doing their football practice. And so on that oval, because there's no one on it, they don't turn the lights on. It was getting a bit dark, and I'm just sort of walking around and around, lost in my own thoughts, going around and around the oval to just get some exercise in. And then I just stopped and I just had this thought, and I looked up at the sky, and it was a beautiful clear night. Just, you can see all the stars. And I'm looking up going, wow, if ever a night I was to see, a craft or something, it would be tonight. It's just such a clear night. And then I just thought, you know what, go on. If you're real, I put the challenge out there. In my mind, this was all in my mind. I'm standing there just going, if you're real, go on, show me a craft. And then the thought came into my head, or an owl. And I don't know where that came from, but I just sort of went, or an owl, because I think I've heard, or I knew, or somewhere I knew that they're messengers of aliens. And I just thought, okay, fine, go on, show me a craft or show me an owl. Put the challenge out there. And of course, nothing happened. So I picked up the kids. We're driving home. And as we're coming into our Brisbane sort of, suburban driveway, there on the driveway, right where my lights are hitting it, is an owl.
Yeah, wow.
And it just sort of, you just sort of looked and went, oh, okay. Hey, kids, look, there's an owl. And they're like, oh, yeah, Mummy, there's an owl. What's for dinner? We're hungry.
It's not often you see owls either.
Right. No, don't see owls here. And it was an owl, a white owl.
Are you in like a sort of like a bit of a bushland, or is it pretty built up suburban area?
Suburban, in sort of, in a Brisbane, and the thing is also, fine. If you're going to see an owl, you'd think they'd be up on a tree, really. Or it's not like I'm scouring the trees. It's not in a bush. It's there on the ground.
Yeah, honestly, I've seen a few owls in the middle of the road. Every time that I've seen an owl, they're always in the middle of the road.
Yeah. But this is the thing, it's the synchronicity as well, which is like, I've never seen one, and then all of a sudden this one night where I've had these thoughts and these calling out, and there you've got it. And that's where I just sort of went, ooh, okay. But you sort of go, sure, no problems. I'll just, in we go. I've got, I'm a single mother now with the kids, so I've got shit I need to do. In we go, cooking, getting them to bed, so on and so forth. And then that's all fine. And then it would have probably been, it was early July. So I do remember it was early July, so it was probably only about a week after that owl incident, where the kids are in bed and I'm in bed, and I'm actually just watching TV in bed. And my daughter gets up and she comes over to me, and she's, wide-eyed. She would have been sort of in bed, maybe asleep for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Where she comes in, her eyes are wide open. She's sort of looking at me, and she just says to me, "I feel strange, Mummy." And, my first thought are, is it your tummy? And she says it again, "I feel strange, Mummy." And, again, I'm sort of saying to her, are you going to vomit? I'm thinking, because you think of that as a kid. And she's like, I feel strange. And then she just turned around and started to walk back to her room. So I walked with her, put her down, and, I'm realizing, oh, okay, you're sleepwalking. And she's never done that before. So I'm like, okay, all right, she's sleepwalking. When she went back into bed, put her up in there, she fell asleep straight away. And I just sort of went, oh, okay, all right, she's okay. And then I went to bed. And then I, turned off the TV and went to sleep. And then it would have been probably a couple of hours later, I got woken up by a sound. And I thought it was my cats. I've got 2 cats. Which also I might add, my 2 cats, they used to sleep with me. So they would, as cats do, they like to come into your bed and sleep down by my feet. And I loved it. I would have them both there. And sort of from that early July onwards, they just stopped. They would not come and sleep here in my room or in my bed anymore. And cats can be fickle, so you don't. I know, but cats can be fickle. I give that to them. But there was an element where I was like, oh, I miss my cats. So anyway, again, so this night, my daughter is saying that she's feeling strange, and then I've gone to bed. I wake up sort of 2 hours later with a sound, and I thought, oh, it's the cats. And I sit up in bed. And I look across, the wall across from my bed is just a blank sort of white wall. And I'm looking, and there's this light there across from me. And I'm looking at it going, oh, that's a bit strange. It's this sort of blurry, foggy sort of light. And I'm just trying to look at it, and I'm thinking, is it trying to blink my eyes to focus on it, just thinking, oh, that's really strange. And as I'm looking at it, I'm noticing something appearing next to it, and it's sort of slowly sort of coming into focus. And then it came into such a focus that it's very much real. There was no blurriness around this. And that's when the alien being appeared, and it was just standing there staring at me. So I started to sort of look and scan it. So I saw the head, big sort of bulbous head, and then I'm moving down, and it's got this very protruding eyebrow bone, very, very big eyebrow bone. And then I'm looking, and it's got this long jaw, it's sort of the bulbous head and this jaw that sort of goes down and down into sort of like the middle of the chest. The best way I can describe it, it's sort of like that, the painting, Edward Munich's The Scream, that sort of round, bigger though, bulbous head with this jaw that just dripped down.
So this thing, if they look down, their chin would literally be banging onto their chest kind of thing.
It was on the chest, yeah. It would be, pretty much where your heart, it just... And that's really what threw me, was this jaw. I'm just going, that is just weird. And then after that jaw, I started to scan the arms, and they were sort of very thin. My thoughts were sort of like, oh, they're thin, long arms. And then you could see these thin fingers at the end. And the body, was in proportion to it all. It wasn't a ridiculously thin body or anything. It was just sort of normal body width, if you like. And then I could see there was legs also thin going down, because at the end of my bed, I couldn't see where the feet were or how... I actually couldn't see if the feet were on the ground or if it was above the ground. And I'd sort of say roughly it would be about 170 centimetres tall. It was to about that level, 5'8", in those measurements. And I was just looking, going, oh, the arms and whatnot, and I'm scanning. And then I get back up to the head, and I'm looking at the eyes. And it's the eyes that just threw me. They're, almond-shaped, black, just pitch black, matte eyes. And there's just nothing there. And that was what threw me. And again, the thought of they're just so neutral. And it was neutral, but in a sort of a scary, negative way, neutral. There's just nothing there. I think as human beings, we look into people's eyes because we're trying to gauge things. This is just what we naturally do. And here I am just looking at those eyes, just going, there's just neutral. And then that's when I freaked out, and that's when I just sort of went, oh my God, rolled over into my bed, put the duvet cover over my head, and was just going, it can't hurt me. It's not going to hurt me. It can't hurt me. It's not going to hurt me. And then I actually managed to just fall asleep again, which is really weird, because in that sort of state of panic or sort of shock, normally you just can't get back to sleep again. And I just sort of went bang, back to sleep. And then I woke up in the morning, and the next day you're just sort of still processing. You're just going, yeah, that was weird. Okay, yep, that's weird. Sure, right. And just sort of, okay, all right. And
a little bit freaked out.
I think it took me a couple of days a little bit freaked out. Took me a couple of days to process, and I just thought, okay, right. I think I called my mum and I explained those two things to her, and she was like, okay, yep, but you're fine. I'm like, yep, I'm fine, Mum. I have to actually say my mum is a scientist, and grew up a very devout Catholic thing, but she could see that I'm telling her this, it's real. So she was just sort of trying to give sympathy and trying to sort of help. Really, she was a bit like, okay, yep, strange things happen, okay, and that's about it.
Probably
and
passing off as a dream. That
I felt a little bit. No.
No?
It was, the thing is, my eyes were blurry for. I know what a dream is.
Again, I meant like your mum's trying to say you'll probably prefer referencing a dream. So
my mum. I don't think she sort of, again, because I was saying that to her as well, in the sense that I'm like, I know what I saw. I know when my eyes are, focusing, when I'm awake, when I'm in that, conscious mind state. So I think she just sort of, let that one be, really. And then I just sort of let it be too. I always felt a little bit uneasy. And like I said, the cats just wouldn't come to my room, and they wouldn't, I've got a big tomcat, and he likes to get fed in the middle of the night, and he used to come in and sort of jump on me in the middle of the night for me to get up and feed them, and from that time and even to now, he now actually won't come in the door. He actually is out. He scratches the wall of the door out there to get me up, to get him to feed, but he will not come in anymore. So there's still something around, and the cats still are not comfortable here in my room. So yeah, that was that. So that was that evening, and then I sort of let it go. And until a few nights later, when again my daughter got up and was in that sleepwalk state again. So she went to bed. A couple of hours later, she gets up. I was not sleeping too well, I think, at this stage, and it was about 11 o'clock. And so I was wide awake. So she came in again. And she had these, big open eyes, and she was saying to me, Mum, I've got dark angels in my room. And I was sort of like, okay, yep. And then she says to me, Mum, they're telling me I'm number 24. So I'm like, okay, yep. And then she says to me, and their eyes, Mum, they have these eyes. And as soon as she said that, I was like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. And so I said, yeah, and I just sort of pulled her in and I said, no, you're sleeping with me tonight. So, we slept. And then the next day, I think that was, and it's still hard even now sort of talking about, I think when you're noticing your child is sort of in this state and she's experiencing stuff, I think that's what really does start to throw you, and you're just sort of going, oh shit, this isn't good.
Yeah, because there's nothing you can do. You have no control over it.
So the next day, nothing, no control.
I think that's what the scariest part is.
I live in my house. Yeah, I've got CrimSafe on all my windows. I've got CrimSafe on my doors. I lock up at night, and I feel pretty comfortable that I've got enough locks, for intruders and things. I'm not scared of humans. I'm scared of human intruders. They're not going to get into here. It's this. You cannot stop it. You cannot. This is something beyond, locks and bolts and things, and that shook me. So that was, again, that afternoon, I actually called my parents. Dad was there then, and I just sort of went, I can't do this. This is just, Claire now. This is getting beyond it. So I spoke to them, told them, everything. And it's hard for my parents too, because, with lockdowns at the moment and whatnot, they couldn't come up, and you're sort of stuck. You're on your own. Meanwhile, I got to go to work. So, you got to go to work and smile and be there, be present, be able to produce what you need to do for work, and that's hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
I work in HR as well.
Oh,
so, I have people with grievances and telling me stuff, and I'm like, oh, no, not quite. But that's where you are, and you sort of hold it together. So
yeah,
that
last thing you want to do is go and deal with other people's problems.
That was when So with my daughter, when she was at that stage, that got hard. And then that night, so I spoke to my parents during the day, and I'm just like, this is just getting crazy. And then that evening, I'm trying to normalize things. So, the other thing is with my daughter, the next mornings, she woke up in my bed going, why am I here, Mum? She did not remember a single thing. And I was trying to prod her, sort of saying, did you have any bad dreams or something? She has no recollection. So I wasn't going to push it with her or take it further, because I thought, great, I'm glad you're not remembering anything.
Yeah.
But then the next night, so with the kids, we're watching TV. Again, I'm in a small place, and it's only me, my kids, and the cats where I'm living. And so the TV gets turned off. Time for showers and things. So the kids are in the bathroom. They're showering. I'm sitting sort of on the floor of the bathroom, and I'm just in my head thinking, why is this happening? Why me? Why is this going on? Why is this happening? Why me? And so they finished in the shower. I help them put their towels on, and then I walk out of the bathroom first, and I'm walking along to the kitchen, and I can hear on my kitchen speaker there's music playing. And again, I'm like, oh, that's strange. It's just random music playing from my speaker. It is one of those Google speakers, but there's music playing. Okay. And I go over to listen, and the song is the most bizarrest thing I've ever heard. It was just these words over and over again to a sort of a hip-hop beat with sort of hip-hop music going. And the words were, the answer lies in the sky, way up high in the sky, the answer lies. And it was just that over and over again.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm standing there listening to this, just going, great.
Yeah,
awesome.
Have you tried searching for the song?
Come out and no. And my kids come out, and I say to my daughter, I said, did you put this on? And she's like, no, I've just come out of the bathroom, Mummy. And then I say to both of them, have you heard this song before? Do you know this? And they're both like, no, don't know. And I actually got angry, and I just slammed the speaker off, and I just sort of went, that's crazy. And then it was a couple of days, all my speakers are linked to my Spotify account. So if music were to play through them, it's through Spotify as such. And so I had a look through my history a couple of days later, and Spotify, no, nothing like that's there. And also, I've never heard anything like it. This is the other thing, because, you know, songs don't just have the same lines over and over again.
Yeah, it's a bit different on that one, especially with the hip-hop beat.
There's the hip-hop beat, and it was an Aussie's accent hip-hop, and it was just those lines. If someone's heard it, please let me know. But I just felt it then. I was angry. I just slammed that thing off, and it was sort of like, yeah.
So how do the lyrics go again? The answer lies in the sky.
The answer lies in the sky. Way up high, the answer lies.
I'm just trying to search it now. See if we can try and find it for you. Because that is extremely weird, especially coming out to that.
Mm-hmm.
So all I can find is a bit of Led Zeppelin, but I don't think that would have been Led Zeppelin there with a bit of hip-hop going on.
No. No. And I'll let you know, we're not hip-hop listeners either.
Yep.
So it's not like, you know, I don't know, sometimes your music preferences will bring up a music preference song like this and whatnot. Yes, sorry, it's not our genre of music. And yeah. Yeah, I thought, if you're going to play me something, can you play me something nice? You know, I don't know, something like, you know, most songs are about love, aren't they? It would have been nice to have something like you're loved or something, I don't know. And yeah, that just, yeah. So that happened, and then it sort of goes on. So this now you're starting to really, the mind is now just starting to sort of just go, you know, the stress levels now are high. You know, my anxiety is high and my fear is high. I don't want to sleep at night. So that's when, you know, I never used to sleep with lights on. Lights are on now. Yeah. And again, it was just hard to just function. So, yeah, there was the music. Then the following night, the following night, I woke up again, and there is this voice, very clear, and it sounds like it's just in my kitchen. And it's an English male's voice. It sounded like, I describe it like a BBC, you know, news presenter, you know, beautiful.
Okay, so English is income from Britain.
From Britain, with that English accent, yes, yep. Very crystal clear. And it woke me up, and I can hear the voice, and I'm trying desperately to hear the words, but it's like it's sandwiched between some sort of tones. It's hard to explain. And the more I'm trying to hear it, the less I'm hearing it. And it's just disappearing from me. And that's sort of when you're sort of going, oh, that's a bit strange too, but you know what, I'm just going to ignore it. And then the next night after that, again, I get woken up at night, and I'm hearing, it was so loud, and it was right above my my roof, and it was just this woo, 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 and it was so loud. I'm sitting up in bed thinking, oh my goodness, my entire suburb can hear this. Woo, woo, woo. And then eventually it just goes woo, 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 and it just sort of, you can hear it just sort of streaming away. And that was something that Gail described in her podcast too. She described it sort of like the Aboriginal thing. And that was when I went, or the Woomera. And that's when I went, well, yeah, whatever the Aboriginal, you know, I don't know.
I think it's the Woomera. I think she mentioned Woomera.
Whatever that they, yeah. And I just sort of went, that's it. That's, you know, when she said it, that was what I heard too. So, you know, but by this stage, I'm really, really utterly stressed. I did put a Facebook post out, because I'm thinking, who do you go to? who can I actually get some help with this? I'm not sleeping. I'm highly stressed. At work, you got to still show up, smile, and listen to other people's issues and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what can I do here? I can't go on like this. I cannot go on like this. So on my Facebook page, on a Facebook page, I put up a post, and the person let me post anonymously to a spiritual group, and I just said, who has experience with this or has worked with people who've experienced this, to just help me with this. And I only had one response, really, and it was someone who tagged their friend who does, and I don't know how to pronounce it properly, sorry, kinesiology.
Oh, I'm not even sure myself.
And kinesiology, it's, and even now, I've had a few sessions, it's been great, but it's to do with energies and somehow moving through energies and speaking to your subconscious. So I got in touch with her, and the session I had with her, so this was all going crazy. Then I finally saw her on a Saturday, and through sort of subconscious ways, she was able to sort of tap in and sort of see that, yes, there are sort of the alien presence around, and that they are coming for me and my daughter, that there was a contract or an agreement that was before we even sort of came onto this earth, in the physical form that we were in, that it was made with these beings. Yep. And that they're there. But, I was just sort of saying, I don't want this. Stop it. So, she put sort of a sort of positive energy around the house, sort of blocked off the portals. She said there's portals here, and sort of, moved them on. And, you sort of go, okay, great. I left the session feeling better, definitely felt much better. And then, believe it or not, that night, when I went to bed, I actually slept, and one of my cats came and slept at my legs. So I sort of went, oh, okay, right, okay. That my Siamese came and slept at my legs, and I went, oh, yay. But that was the only night. After that, there was no more nights no more sleeping with the cats. And then again, it would have been about 4-5 nights after that session. Again, I sort of woke from sleep. But again, I woke up and I'm standing next to my bed, but I'm not physically standing there. This is again sort of, you could call it your essence, your spirit, your something. And I'm standing next to my bed, and I can feel them, and they're trying to get me. Again, it's hard to explain. And I know the feeling so well. And I'm standing there, and it's this energy field, and it's this sort of foggy, sticky, sweet, sort of weird feeling. And I can feel they're there, and I'm meant to go through this. I'm meant to go through that to get to them. And I'm standing there going, oh, I got to call my mum. And I'm trying to reach back for my phone. And, of course, I'm not quite getting it. And then the thought came to my mind, because after the kinesiology session, I thought, hang on, I don't have a contract with you. I don't have any agreements with you. And whoosh, I was back in my bed, bang, wide awake.
Oh, wow.
And so, again, something there must have just stopped it at that stage, something there. And I woke up just going, oh, wow, that was something. That wasn't a dream. And I knew that vibe, that feeling, it's really hard to describe. And I just knew, well, okay, I've escaped, if you like. I've pushed that one away. So since then, things sort of have improved. Again, it's, where are we now? Oh, hang on, tonight's Thursday night. Yes, it would have been probably Monday night or Tuesday night this week. I can't remember now. Again, I woke up at about 1-2 in the morning again, and I can hear music tones and they sound like they're outside. And it sounded like elevator music type tones, just really weird, just these jingling tones. And again, I'm trying to listen to them because they woke me up. They were that loud, they woke me up. And then as I'm trying to listen, trying to sort of get my ear around them, they just start to float away from your perceptions.
Yep.
And I can't hear them, and they're just gone. And I remember then going, yep, I know that, feeling that feeling again. And then, and this is the second time it's happened again. So I think this bird was also the night of the BBC English voice as well. After that, I think I heard this bird too. And then after these tones, a cuckoo bird starts up. So these tones left, I couldn't hear them. And then, and I'm in suburban Brisbane, and please tell me, anyone in Brisbane, if you've heard a cuckoo at 1, 2 a.m. at night. And again, I'm hearing this cuckoo, cuckoo outside, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't like that. Something's just a bit wrong with that as well.
That is really weird.
Yeah, and it did about four cuckoos, and then it just stopped. And then I went to sleep, and then the next morning my daughter wakes up, and she's a bit sort of sinusy and whatnot, and I'm looking, and I can see she's got sort of like blood in her left nostril, and she sneezes, and just sort of blood comes out from that left nostril as she sneezed. And she was fine by it. She was just sort of, oh, yeah, just do it. But I'm looking and I'm going, oh, I don't like that either. There's just something not right there. She's not one to wake up with blood noses. I never had blood noses as a kid, those sort of blood noses. And to have just this trickle out of her left nostril, just sort of something again just made me go, oh, I'm not liking
uneasy.
this. So, yeah. So it sort of continues. I'm now trying to work through it and with it. Like I said, I've reached out with Gail, and we've caught up, and it's really helped talking to somebody. And we're saying, if we're happy to support, and I think you need to find your tribe and find people to support. I actually also, because I am the HR person and I bang on to everybody at work about, mental health, and we have an employee assistance program, and I just thought, you know what, bugger it. I'm going to call them, because I also know, being in HR, that I get the reports when someone's called the employee assistance program.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to give the conventional side, I'm going to see how this is handled. And I called them up to just try to get some help with all this as well. And the lady that I got through the employee assistance program, again, I have to say, has been excellent. My first question to her sort of was, how would you deal with somebody who has, alien experiences? And she's like, well, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to listen and to hear you, no matter what you are telling me. And we were talking, and she used the words, and these words keep sort of repeating. She said to me, because you're talking and you're just going, this is crazy. I feel like I'm going crazy. And she was the one who stopped me, and she said, no, you are not crazy. The situation around you is crazy. You are not crazy. And that just really stuck. And I just want to get that out to everybody as well. We are not crazy. This isn't, there are mental health issues that you have because of this. I've never had anxiety before, and now I have this, anxious, nervous energy at times. Like, I'm talking about it now, I can feel sort of the anxiety there. But generally, this isn't me. I'm the most easygoing, normal sort of person you can have out there. But so that was good to hear. And I had another session with her. I've had about 3 counselling sessions with her. And today I actually explained to her, I'm doing this podcast, and what would you say to people? Because you're from the conventional field, and I think there is this fear, if you go to your doctor, that you're going to get diagnosed as a crazy person, or you're going to get ridiculed, or they're going to, send you off to a psychiatrist and you're going to get medicated. I think at times you actually would love to get medicated. I would have
Oh, a
loved to
lot
have
of
been
people
in a
would.
padded cell. Maybe I would have got maybe I would have got some sleep,
Yeah.
maybe, but it wouldn't have solved the issue.
No.
It would not have stopped them. It wouldn't have stopped. And I know, I really don't like medication. And maybe this is a throwback from all this as well. I don't like medication. I don't like needles. I don't like injections. I don't like anything. It's like, don't touch me. Don't do anything to me. So there is that fear. So when I spoke to her earlier today, she was saying that, she works a lot with narrative therapy, and she says, I'm here to listen and to hear, and, and what people really want is for their story to hear people to tell their story and to have their story validated. And there's so much more out there. There's so much more than just our brains and the universe that we know. And
absolutely.
And so that she's helped as well. That's been helping. So, and like I said, I'm going to be working with Mary Rodwell. I have a hypnotherapy session booked with her in November, to sort of just look back and just try to get some of those answers, particularly for my daughter. There is this thing where I just don't want her sort of, having any trauma or feeling strange about it. She's a very clued up child for a 9-year-old. She's a very intelligent child, and she always sort of said, I know I'm a bit weird, Mum. I know I'm a bit strange. And she senses there's something different. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
Another thing, just one of the things that Mary does also is she sends you just a sort of like a questionnaire thing. And one of the questions that stood out for me on there was, what are your phobias? What are your fears? And one of the things that stood out for me was that both myself and my daughter have really big fears of lifts. I remember as a child, I would take the stairs over going up lifts. With my father, I actually remember we went to Chicago and went to, is it Sears Tower there? I can't remember, the tallest tower there in Chicago.
Yep.
And I remember being in that lift just petrified as a 10-year-old, grabbing him. My head was just under his armpit somewhere, just hating that lift. And even to this day, we've always tried to avoid lifts, and I always thought that's weird that Claire's like this as well. She's always one of the first, I don't want to take a lift. And when I spoke to Mary about it, she said yes, because it gives you that feeling. It's being in a lift, especially as you're going upwards. It's that same feeling as you're being taken from your body, as you're rising up. It's something else that that can be a phobia that experiencers have, is the fear of lifts. So these little things, as you start to look, as you start to sort of explore some of the strange things, you go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Or I'm seeing this now. So, yes. Anyway, sorry, I think I've spoken enough.
Oh, no, look, you're doing brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. But I do have one question here. Someone's asked, have you thought about referring to MUFON?
MUFON? I haven't even heard of what's MUFON.
So MUFON's basically your report. It's MUFON. So I can't remember what they actually stand for now, but basically it's the world's best place to go and report UFO sightings or any experiences you might have had in regards to UFOs or aliens in that sense.
Oh,
so they're reasonably large.
I haven't.
Reasonably large organisation, and but I think they're more go on the side of sightings more than experiences, encounters, sort of things like abductions, sort of things.
Yeah. See, this is what I find interesting. I think people are accepting of. You can see it's coming out in the media a little bit as well. This sort of disclosure of the the US, with the Navy and the Air Forces saying that they have seen strange things in the sky.
Yeah.
UFOs flying. They have been captured on sort of some of the radars and things and that. And people seem to sort of get or sort of understand, oh, yes, there's sightings of UFOs or these UFOs flying. But to take that next step and go, there's something in them, and there's something in them that doesn't stay in those ships.
Yeah.
It comes down, and it starts to poke and prod. They're here, they're amongst us, and they're visiting us. That I think that starts to become that step where it gets, a bit much for people, and I understand that it is pretty freaky stuff. It's not what we have been, conditioned to not believe that. We have been conditioned over these years to dismiss it and to ridicule people and to what are you smoking?
We got to get away from that stigma
or something like that, and it's not this. Exactly. We, general society is starting to move away from the stigma of mental health and all that. We've got to move away from stigma over this now because, like I said, Mary is saying it's just becoming huge right now. There's something in the air. We're in crazy times, and the world is in a crazy place, and I think there's going to be a lot more of this going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have another question there for you. Are you scared of having the hypnosis done as you may remember more, or are you prepared to remember more detail?
Yeah, there is still the fear there. Exactly that. Hence, I've sort of pushed it back till about the end of November. In the meantime, I'm just sort of taking it a bit slowly. I must say I'm about 2 chapters in to Mary Rodwell's book called Awakening. And that's sort of it's a very good book because it takes you through the stages of what you're going, what you're feeling, and takes you through. Sorry, it's not at my hand, so I can't sort of say. But there's a section there which speaks about the 10 stages of sort of awareness, where you're going through. Oh, this is happening, and oh shit, and oh my God, my reality's thrown. She takes you through all that, and I'm still sort of there where, you're in a place now where I'm looking and I'm seeing things completely differently. Your reality has been thrown. You're now going, there's so many questions there, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily seeking out all the answers. There is still a fear factor there. I think some people say, oh, there's a great documentary on, I don't know, Netflix or something or whatever. Have you watched it? No, thank you. I can only go to certain steps. I really want to sleep at night. There's only certain bits I can do. Hence, I'm sorry, I haven't listened to lots of podcasts and things. There's only so much I can sort of take in and handle. And what I'm really trying to do is get away from the negative vibrations of fear, anxiety, nerves, and I need to change that into a positive. So, because I feel, I'm a strong believer in, having positive energies, putting that positive out, and then you attract the positive back and all that. And it's challenging me in that way because, I'm just really trying to move away from the fear. That's the hard bit, and to be able to sleep normally.
Yeah, it's a massive emotional barrier to try and break through.
It's a huge emotional barrier. I used to love sleep. Oh God, I loved it.
I used to love sleep too until I had kids.
It's really hard. Yeah. Well, yeah. But now it's different. Yeah.
It is. It is totally different. But I can't speak for myself because I haven't had my own personal experiences with what you've experienced. So I can't really relate in that kind of sense. But I understand though that there needs to be a lot of support in this sort of area, and there are a few places there that will offer the support, and obviously you got to try and find them. And obviously, we haven't. I don't think anyone's told you yet, but we've actually started up our own little support group there now. It's available for people who have been abducted. So we're still a little bit hesitant on doing this sort of stuff because it's running the page myself, and then Well, it's like there's only 2 admins for the group. Trying to run this page, then it takes a toll, and like between work and life and all that sort of stuff, it's like how far do we want to keep diving down into this? Because like it's just going to be a massive rabbit hole, and so we've been asked a few times, like, do you have support for this sort of stuff? And like we're sort of like palmed them off to somewhere else to try and get the help, like not in a bad way. I mean, like, I'm saying palm off, like trying to refer them to somewhere else, I should say, and hopefully that they did get the help they needed, but. So now, like,
it's not easy. It's not easy.
Not.
They used to do so many more face-to-face support groups in the 1990s. Funny enough, there was a again. Sorry, my only source here is Mary Rodwell, because again, that was my question there. They used to do it, and then it just sort of petered out, and people. But now I feel it's coming back again. People are needing this support. So that's great. That's wonderful. Thank you. That's,
so those that are listening, and if you have experienced anything like that, we do have it on the Facebook page there. It's you'll have to scroll through the page there, but I will put the link up again on the page there somewhere so people can go and reference it and join the page there for support. So people that are in there, they have been abducted, so they can relate and surely try and help you in your emotional dilemma in that aspect. But a question I do have now with your daughter. You're saying like you broke free from what you would say, like you don't have a contract there, sort of thing. On that, like, do you think your daughter was still experiencing things like? Because obviously you're saying I don't have the contract, so you're referring to yourself. But do you think your daughter is still experiencing these things because she can't fight it in that kind of sense, or doesn't know how to fight it?
I think she is. Yeah, exactly that. Through the kinesiology, she, the session that I had, she did say, I've broken the contract for you and for my daughter. But like I said, yes, I was able to fight it. They still came for me, 4 days later and that. But my daughter, she just, again, it's a hard one. She's 9 years old. And you don't want to start telling her this stuff because there is a thought there. I don't want her to have an impression in her head of something that I've put in there. So what I've been doing with her instead is I've been working with her about boundaries.
Okay.
Put boundaries up and pushing it through, at school, I think they're doing safe talks and things like that. And I'm just sort of expanding that for her as well, saying it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no if your teachers are saying something you don't like, if adults are saying something you don't like, if things, if the cats are doing something you don't like, and I'm just trying to sort of bring it in that way. Or if there's something going on and you're not liking it, you can say no. You've got boundaries and you put those boundaries up. So I'm just trying to work it that way.
Yeah, hopefully she can fight it in that what sort of sense.
Yeah. But then at the same time, there is another thing where you're going, maybe I'm helping humanity or them in some way. Maybe there is some help that they're needing from us. There is this other side of the coin where you're
some
going,
sort of benefit.
Again, is there some sort of benefit? Is there something there? Why? Again, it's that big question of exactly why.
That is a really good question.
So in a way, again, I fight the feeling of I really don't want to do this anymore. I really want that contract agreement broken, go away, because that fear and all that anxiety, I just don't want it. But at the same time, there is that niggling thing of maybe there's a reason for this. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something greater that I'm doing that's deep in my subconscious, that this conscious, mind of mine that's experiencing this fear and whatnot is not able to comprehend. So I don't know.
No,
hence why I'm sort of looking at the hypnotherapy session with Mary for the end of November. But leaving it just that bit longer. I'm not yet ready. But yes, hopefully some of those whys will come through, maybe.
Yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant on the hypnotherapy because, like, they sort of can implant ideas into your head and sort of work you that way a little bit. Like, it's a tough one for me. Like, it's one of those things I'm very, it's a tough one. I don't want to like diss it too much, but it's one of those things like, does it work? Doesn't it work? And it's just like, how far are they putting ideas into your head to go and try and get a result out of it? Something that wasn't really there, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm very curious. So, yeah, I'm looking at all sort of options in a way. Yeah.
I do have a question here for you too. Do you ever experience sleep paralysis?
No. And I actually don't really know what that is. No.
So basically, sleep paralysis is like you'll wake up and you can't move. It's like you're frozen, stuck in your bed, and then people seem to experience or see beings or ghosts or some sort of figure in their room whilst they're there. Like they move their eyes and look around, but they just can't move.
Yeah. No. Probably because my experience, it's only been that one time that I've seen the being, and then it's just been, like I said, me out of the bed, and then it's just these tones and sounds and things like that. So no, I haven't had any sleep paralysis. Thank goodness. That sounds really scary too. No.
Yeah. Fair enough. So another question from me: do you has your parents had any experiences themselves? Because I call it like a bit of a blood contract. That's what I've heard to reference it from. So a blood contract. So I would imagine your parents would have experienced something, maybe if they've mentioned anything.
Yes, actually, my dad has seen a craft once at some stage, and I remember him saying we were driving down to the beach, and down near Maslands Beach, actually, down in Adelaide, South Australia, and he said, yes, it was up and above, and he said, and he's so surprised that I don't think Mum remembers it, and I don't remember it, and he's surprised that we don't remember that. My mum, like I said, very scientific, very very sort of Catholic and whatnot, but she, when I sort of explained that, this is going on, this is what's going on, she said to me, yes, she once had an interesting experience in the sense that back when I was a sort of a child, she woke up one night and she felt drawn to go outside. And she said, I walked outside in the middle of the night, and she said, I just thought I heard someone or heard things outside, and that she went outside and she said, I was trying to yell at them, to sort of yell to say, go away. And she said nothing would come out. And she just said, I couldn't get sounds out. I couldn't yell. And she said, it felt really strange. And so she has had that little experience, which just made her go, that was weird. But that's about it. That's as far as there's anything there. I have two sisters who, nothing with them either, as far as I know. That's it. And I have also heard that it does run through some sort of bloodlines and whatnot. I don't know. My blood type's O positive. I have hazel eyes. I don't know. There's nothing else really there. Different about me in any other way.
Blonde hair at all?
No, nothing. No, not Nordic either. No.
Okay.
The other thing that's happened is one of the things that I used to be very sort of more extroverted, like to go out a lot more and whatnot, and particularly in the last 2 years, I've stacked on a lot of weight, and it's not me, it's not my style to do that. A good 20 kilos on me, and I remember Mum a few months back was asking me about it. And I said, deep down, the answer to this is I just want to keep people away. I don't want anyone near me. I don't want anyone around me. I'm doing this to myself to just sort of keep things away from me. And it just wasn't quite making sense to me, that even either. And again, I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record, having a chat to Mary again over the phone. She's saying it's something that also can be common with experiences, in the sense that you're doing it to sort of ground yourself, and to do that, to put a barrier up, to try to keep things away, to keep it all off, to just not have anything near you. So, okay. That's been an interesting thing for me as well, because it really isn't me. So... yeah.
No, that's fair
something
enough.
else that's interesting. So you're just sort of looking through it all. You're sort of going, this is, little things are just stacking up, not stacking up, and yeah.
Yeah, well, either way, it's absolutely amazing and incredible experiences you're having, but scary at the same time, just because just the lack of control that you have over these. It's just mind-blowing in a sense.
Exactly that. That's the word. Yeah, exactly that. There is no control. Yeah. Again, I have crystals around me. I used to not be a crystals person at all. It's not my thing. So I now have bracelets. I wear them. They're around the house. I've, saged the house, all that sort of stuff. You're just going, what can I do? What can you do?
Try to protect your family, just to try and gain some sort of control.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Someone else asked a question there. Have you been passed on any messages or premonitions at all from your experiences?
Do you know what? Not from these experiences. Again, it's a really weird thing. I have had visions, sort of thing, in the past. I won't go into one sort of too much because it can take a while, but I once had a vision of my son who was here, of him standing in a doorway. This was before I even had children, in sort of football clothes and talking to me. And I remember at the time, I was sort of daydreaming at home, and this vision just came to me. So I always sort of knew I'd have a child, and I always thought, yeah, I will have a son. And it never really made sense to me, the way he was standing and where I was sitting. And it wasn't until now that I'm in this house. And I must say again, in the last 10 years, I've moved 11 times. I could never settle in a place. Jobs-wise as well, I've been a consultant for a long time, never could settle, would always be moving. Again, there was something there. And it was only till when I came into this house, and then I realised, oh my God, yes, there's the doorway to your room. That's the kitchen. This is where I was seeing. I now can see what I saw. And then, speaking of visions, I have this vision, which I thought was I thought my dad told me about this, but then I asked him, and he said, I've never heard of this. He never knew of this. And then when I'm thinking about it, the timeline doesn't make sense. Anyway, I know this vision. I've had this vision, experience of myself being in a pod, and these pods are in an umbilical cord going around the earth, and each person is in their own separate pod. And from this vision memory thing, the word umbilical cord was just something that's so important, that you are in an umbilical cord. I know I'm in an umbilical cord of some sort up around the world. I'm in my own pod. And I remember, thinking, I wonder if my husband's in one of these. So it must have been when I was still married to him, in my 30s. And I remember I'm in this pod and I'm looking down onto the earth. And I remember going, I'm looking down on the Americas. Damn, I wish I was looking over on Australia. I'd prefer to be looking over at Australia. But I'm up here and I'm looking down onto the Americas. And I know I'm up here doing this because I've got to be up here to stay safe. And again,
Okay.
that's just this weird vision, sort of not a dream, not a memory, just something's there that there's that, which also just doesn't make sense. And like I said, just little things like that, which you're just going, have these weird memories of things and whatnot that just, yeah.
Yeah, I was getting a really, really big Matrix vibe right then. Being in like your own little pod
Yeah.
and
Yes.
like you're up there,
Yeah.
but our reality's down the earth somewhere. That's I'm sort of getting a Matrix vibe there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on a Facebook page like Alien Abductions or whatever Facebook page, and someone said it was it a Stanley Kubrick movie or something? Or I don't know. I've never seen any of these movies. That's the other thing. I've never watched any horror movies or any of those types of movies. I'm not very, it's not my type of thing. So, yeah, it is that sort of thing. But then again, I think with movies, there's got to be a basis for these from somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
There's been an influence to some of these movies, to somewhere for it all to come through. The whole Star Trek or the Star Wars and the Intergalactic Alliance, and we just something somewhere this has come through, and it's
absolutely.
there's more to us, there's more to this world, there's more to the universe than what we can in our sort of conscious thoughts really comprehend.
Oh yeah, look, Hollywood's gotten their ideas from somewhere. Like I know it's imaginative people, but they got the ideas from somewhere initially, surely.
Somewhere, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Look, it's been an absolutely incredible experience and awesome story. Absolutely fascinating and scary at the same time. But before we end the show, does anyone else have any questions they want to go and ask quickly before we wrap this up? So, yeah, by all means, get your questions out there, and we'll definitely relay them before we wrap it up. But yeah, it's absolutely scary going through all that sort of stuff, and I hope it sort of does mellow out a little bit, so like you can keep some sanity there to yourself without these guys bothering you nearly every night. Yeah, especially your daughter.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not something I really wish upon anyone, to be honest, because we want to live our lives there and how it's meant to be lived and how we choose to, and go and have something like this.
Exactly.
It's certainly uninvited, that's for sure.
Exactly, yes. So yes, again, so for anyone who's going through it, you are not crazy. Situation around you is crazy. You are not crazy. And seek out that support. Seek it out.
Absolutely. People are not crazy. This is actually happening in the real world. There's support there for everyone that wants support in this sort of aspect there. That's one of the reasons why we sort of created the page there, to go and get people's experiences, their sightings and such. But now we're reaching out to get people's experiences on abductions and try and help them through that with that now. Now we've got some people there that are willing to go and help out in that aspect. The people that experience them stuff themselves. So they're there to go and help out now. So definitely got all hands on board there now to try and support people on this. So
lovely.
Another question from me. Your son hasn't experienced anything at all?
No, in a way, no. He's 6, and he's just a typical sort of 6-year-old boy. And no, and funny enough, I don't feel a vibe off him either. He may know something's going on or not. He's very close to his sister, and he really looks out for her. I'm very lucky. The two of them are really great kids, and they do really look out and care for each other. And he really cares and whatnot for her. But no, I haven't had him, sleepwalk or say anything to me or anything like that.
Yeah, so nothing obvious that stands out anyway.
No,
that's fair enough. No, look, well, I think no one's else got so many questions there, so I think we'll wrap it up here because it's getting quite late now, and we've got some children to go and put to bed.
Yes.
It's way past their bedtimes.
Yes.
No, look, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's absolutely wonderful having you here. And
thank you.
Thank you to Gail there for obviously supporting you along with this. It's been absolutely fantastic on her behalf. And I hope it's absolutely helped you out in a massive way. And I'd love to go and hear how you went with Mary as well. Once you've in November.
I'll report back. Late November. I'll report back and let you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds awesome. I'd love to go and get a bit of feedback on that because I'm curious myself on how this the whole the whole scenario works in this sort of aspect when it comes to bringing out repressed memories and such.
Yeah.
So, but yes, thank you again for joining the show. It's wonderful having you on, and I'll definitely talk to you soon.
Lovely. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. All right. Cheers.